Did you know that there are several documents scattered throughout the Clucky's restaurant that create a timeline as to the creation of Clucky's and the people behind the Almost Chicken? By now, most of you have played or even beat Clucky's in Roblox. As you progress, the cutscenes and hidden tapes give insight to the various animals at Clucky's. And we have another video finding those tapes, but we are here today to talk about those hidden documents. They establish the timeline and the people involved. So get yourselves comfortable. We are about to expose the lore and the timeline of Clucky's. As we get started with this timeline, we're going to start furthest back and work our way to the present day. So starting out in the dining hall, you can find a marriage certificate under one of the tables on the dining room floor for the marriage of Charles Beekman and Betsy Bauer. The date on that is July 4th, 1965. So I find this really interesting that they use the year 1965 because we are currently in the year 2024. And with all of that, we're probably looking at a 60-year-old restaurant chain. So this establishment, Clucky's, has been around for quite some time. All right, and then here you can find a newspaper clipping from the Southwest Gazette in the basement. It's next to the shovel and pile of dirt. And the newspaper clipping is real interesting. A Taste of Success in the Southwest is the title. And the exact date's hard to read, but from what I can gather, it's July 13th, 1973. So just about 8 years after the marriage of Charles Beekman and Betsy Bauer. And I'm going to read it here. In the bustling heart of the Southwest, a culinary sensation has been sweeping the region since 1948. Clucky's, a fried chicken restaurant chain, has become a household name thanks to the vision and dedication of its founder, Charles "Cluck" Beekman. Charles Beekman, a savvy businessman and entrepreneur, laid the foundation of Chucky's with a single yet ambitious goal to offer high-quality, no-nonsense cooking that would appeal to families and enthusiasts alike. His role as CEO has been instrumental in steering the company towards success, but the journey has been far from a sole endeavor. Rodney Gloom, Clucky's head chef, is the mastermind behind the restaurant's original chicken recipe. Gloom's culinary expertise and innovative approach to fried chicken has been pivotal in establishing Clucky's as a premier dining destination. His secret blend of spices and unique cooking techniques have kept customers coming back for more, ensuring that Clucky's remains a cut above the competition. Adding a splash of creativity and flair to the brand is Betsy Bauer, an eccentric artist and marketing expert who doubles as a comedian. Bauer's imaginary mind brought forth the iconic Clucky, the chicken mascot, a cheerful, quirky character that has become synonymous with the Clucky's brand. Her marketing strategies and humorous touch have played a critical role in engaging the community and building a legal customer base. The dynamic trio of Beekman, Gloom, and Bauer has laid a robust foundation for Clucky's, which now boasts dozens of locations primarily throughout California and Texas. The restaurant chain has garnered a reputation for excellent service and straightforward, delectable cooking, making it a beloved choice for many in the region. The Beekman family is also celebrating a personal milestone with the recent birth of Charles Beekman's son, Richard. The spring chicken marks what will surely be a new era for the ever-expanding Clucky's empire. As the company continues to grow, the legacy of Clucky's seems to thrive for, and then it cuts off from there. But a couple things that you can note here is that they talk about this actually being a chicken recipe. They don't say almost chicken or near chicken. They say chicken. So probably, and what I would speculate is back then they were cooking chicken. And then also what we can note is that they first bring up their son Richard. This is between Charles and Betsy Bauer. So what we know is that their new son Richard will eventually become a key player in this storyline. So as we keep going forward in time, you'll see that Richard becomes the key player. And I know you're thinking a lot of questions like I am, like what happened to all these people? Rodney Gloom, Charles Beekman, Ms. Bauer. Where did they go? What happened to them? The next document that we find is back in the ice castle. If you head towards the back where the campfire is, right along the campfire is a journal. The first one is dated December 3rd, 1975, and I believe this is from Charles Beekman, and I'll explain that as we read this. It pains me greatly to admit this, but I fear Richard lacks the business sense necessary to lead. As such, he would not make a suitable blank. I can't read it. I don't know what that last word is. Maybe you guys can discern it, but I could not make it out. So let me know in the comments what you think that is. I knew the day will come when I must pass the torch to my kin, and given his short temper, I am uncertain how he will react. I will foremostly hope that he and Jack can find common ground. Though they share only half the same blood, they are all brothers the same. Confound it. Perhaps it would be best to be done with this whole matter. So what we see here is that Jack and Richard are actually brothers. They're half brothers, which means they come from different mothers. They're brothers from different mothers, as they say. And we find out a little bit more about the lore as we explore the restaurant. As you go to the actual office of the director or the manager, you can see the photo of the dad, Mr. Clucky Beekman. He's with his wife, Miss Bauer, and 2 kids. You can see that the kid in the blonde hair is actually the angry one. Well, right here in this journal, he actually talks about Richard being the angry one. So here we can see Richard is the blonde guy who ultimately becomes the man in the bigger picture that's scratched out by Clucky. Could he be Clucky? We'll find out more in just a little bit, but that is very interesting there. So let's read on to the next journal entry. This one's from January 7th, 1976. We are due for a banner year. Richard has found something he truly excels at. That good-for-nothing talent up and quit amidst our commercial shift, and my son Richard stepped up to the plate and did a top-notch job. I dare say I've seldom found myself so proud. Acting! Who would have thought? He really seems to have taken a liking to the Clucky costume as well. I rarely see him take it off. Who knows, perhaps Clucky is only the beginning, and surely there's room for Jackie Boy in the mascot family. What I start to gather is several things, and this is where it really gets deep here. Richard the Angry Son is actually wearing the Clucky's costume just a few months after that letter in December, where he's worried about that blood feud between the 2 sons. So now he's putting it on, and he's wearing it all the time, which is probably a foreshadowing to Clucky actually being Richard at this point. Now, what about Jackie Boy? He's supposed to be another mascot in the family, supposedly. And also, he mentions, what's weird is Charles mentions the mascot family. So does that mean that there are other people playing as a mascot? I'll let you know about some of my theories as we get past this timeline. But first, I just want to cover everything in these documents. So the next piece of information we get is all the way out in 1987. A letter from Franklin of Franklin Stone Construction Solutions to Rich Bettman. Now, Rich is the son, so now the son is a man of authority because he's receiving letters, which leads me to believe that Charles is not in charge of Clucky's anymore. Now, it's addressed to an illegible address, but you can make out the state, which is Texas. So the restaurant we're at is in Texas. And here's the transcription. Rich, I get you're an ambitious fellow, but my crew don't work for nothing. While me and the boys appreciate the free lunch, it don't matter none when there are bills to pay. I know you're trying your darndest to keep a lid on what's cooking in the lower level, and I ain't trying to resort to threats, so don't go taking it that way. The fact of the matter is them reporters been in my ear. If you don't pay, they will, and a pretty penny at that. I reckon it don't have to come to that. Call me and let's figure this thing out, Franklin. So now in 1987, once Richard has taken over, we see just basically 10 years from when he was wearing the Clucky's uniform in his dad's journal. Here he is in charge of the restaurant trying to build a new store. So this store is in Texas. And actually, if you want to know what store number it is, you can go into the little construction room where the beaver is, and you will see that the store number is 4077. They have over 4,000 locations, and we just happen to be at the 4077th. But another thing to note is he's talking about keeping a lid on what's cooking in the lower level. Now, we could drop down to the lower level, but all we can see are 2 big boiler systems, 2 large dumpster enclosures, and then a bunch of documents. And there's a little trash disposal area. I don't know exactly what's in this lower level, and perhaps it gets unlocked later. I see a cracked pipe with the sewer lid. Perhaps we crawl through that in the future to get somewhere. Now, we're still in the beta of Clucky, so they might, in the full version, release more of this information. All right, so the next thing that we find is from June 10th to 16th in 2024. Now, that means that we jump back another 40 years into the future. It's a weekly schedule for the employees, and most notably, what you see here is that the fry cook is no longer Rodney Gloom. No. They have changed it. The current employee is named Jose. And additionally, we have this gal named Melanie who is fired on Saturday fired or fried, is kind of what I'm wondering. But then lastly, we've got Maia, who is working as the assistant manager. So they don't list who the manager is. I'm guessing that's Richard, but Maia is working as the assistant manager. And then just below that is another piece of paper of a missing person. None other than Maia, the assistant manager, right? Just a month later on July 15th, 2024. So creepy. So she's now missing and was last seen at Clucky's fast food restaurant. I wonder what happened. Well, I can start to deduce what happened by going into the waterfall. And if you go into the waterfall, you will see a message that we were once like the monsters. And so you can guess that because they've got Maia, Maia may very well be another monster at this point. All right, so other miscellaneous information that kind of helps me tie this together, and I'm going to start going down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole here. So first of all, there is a Big B video where he does a playthrough. Now, in the playthrough, he stops and looks at random things. He's not super thorough, but one of the things he notices is that there is an obituary in the jungle dining room area. What I find funny is that no matter how many times I load into that game, whether it's through my computer or mobile device, I no longer can see that obituary. That obituary is no longer there. As best as I can tell from the obituary on the Big B video, it was Nancy Beekman who died. And she lived from roughly December 12th, 2022 to February 12th, 1965. And that all kind of coincides with Charles Beekman, the founder of Clucky's, actually finding Miss Bauer and becoming married and having another kid. So she is likely the original wife of Mr. Charles Beekman. One of the things that I wonder is that they got rid of her in the lore in an update. And I think the reason why they might have done that is to kind of hide who the son is, the half son. Now, in the 1965 Gazette, they say that their new son is Richard with Miss Bauer. So we can clearly see Miss Bauer is the mother of Richard. My guess is because they're half brothers that the other son, Jack, is not the son of Miss Bauer, and perhaps Betsy Bauer turned Miss Beekman into one of those monsters. And then another thing that I find interesting is that when you are in the arcade token quest and you have to collect those, you can look closely at the token and it actually says 1992 on it. Well, 1992 was that in-between time where we were missing a lot of information from when they built this restaurant in 87. And then if you look at the painting that's scratched out by Clucky, you can see it is Richard and he's holding the exact same coin. My guess is that 1992 was about the time where Richard took over, and perhaps we're going to find out more later about that. I have another crazy theory. I think that Rodney Gloom is actually that black monster you see in the various photos. First, the monster is wearing a cook's hat, kind of like a backline fryer. And then second, the shirt shows the initials GG. Now, could one of the G's be the Gloom's name? I think it might. It could be Garbage Gloom or something becomes his name. The next one is Punny Bunny. Punny Bunny is wearing glasses, and so is Charles Beekman. So one could deduce that maybe Punny Bunny is actually Charles Beekman. But I actually think that it's Betsy Bauer because she in the Gazette is noted to double as a comedian. And here we are having Punny Bunny as the name, meaning that this bunny is supposed to make you laugh with its puns and entertain you. So I think it's actually Betsy Bauer. And what about that mysterious unnamed devilish lady in pink? Her hair looks awfully familiar. Could that be Betsy? Or could it be Miss Beekman who's dead? Actually, what it most likely would be is the gal Maia who went missing. I think that it's actually Maia, the assistant manager. Wow, now that's just a big brain buster, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have found any additional lore, please let me know in the comments as well. I think I'll have several updates as we go from the beta to the full version, and what I'm hoping is that there's actually some more lore updates that we can provide. I want to thank you all for watching. We'll catch you later, dudes.